Good day everyone. We are the BEd and we will come to grips with the modern readings, namely Hamlet and Othello, which was written by William Shakespeare. Before we proceed with the following stories, let us have a short overview about the author of the stories that we will be discussing today. So again, the author of the stories Hamlet and Othello is William Shakespeare. So William Shakespeare was a renowned English poet, playwright, and actor born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and nicknamed the Bard of Avon. He remains arguably the most influential writer in the English language, and his works continue to be studied, reinterpreted, and remain popular to this day. Shakespeare's works includes 38 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and a few other verses, of which the authorship of some is uncertain. Now let us proceed to one of the well-known story that is written by William Shakespeare, entitled Hamlet. Hamlet is a play written by William Shakespeare. It is believed to have been written between 1599 and 1601. It is one of Shakespeare's best-known and most highly regarded works. It is also his longest, containing a total of 29,551 words and 4,042 lines. So the tragedy of Hamlet, or also called Prince of Denmark, or shortly known as Hamlet, is Shakespeare's most known play. Hamlet has been retold and readapted countlessly. There have been a handful of movies made about this play, as well as it is frequently performed by actors on stage. It is widely considered one of the all-time greatest works of literature. So what is the story of Hamlet all about? So Hamlet is a revenge tragedy, which deals with a wide variety of complex emotions, symbols, and themes, including love, death, revenge, and mental health. So the story's genre is a revenge tragedy because the story revolves around Hamlet, who seeks revenge against his father's murderer, and this revenge leads himself and many others to their ruin and deaths. With this tragedy, Hamlet is called as a tragic hero. In the story, nearly everyone can relate to Hamlet in at least one aspect. Hamlet has to deal with inner grief, as well as revenge, anger, violence, love, inner conflict, and turmoil. All of these things people are able to relate to. So now, let us all know what is the story Hamlet all about.
Hamlet is the Prince of Denmark. He had just returned from his studies to attend his father's funeral. The next day, Hamlet finds out that his uncle, Claudius, marries his mother Gertrude and takes the throne for himself. Hamlet is in despair. He finds it hard to believe that his mother married the brother of his father Claudius and takes the throne so that rapidly after his father's death. On a dark winter night, as Hamlet continues to mourn for his father's death and his mother's lack of loyalty, he was confronted by the ghost of his father. The ghost revealed that he was murdered by his brother Claudius by pouring poison in his ear while he was sleeping in the garden. Before disappearing, the ghost told his son to take revenge for his death. Hamlet wants to take revenge against his uncle for killing his father. But Hamlet is thoughtful and contemplative by nature. He wants to prove before taking any drastic action. He wants to test the truth of the ghost allegations. In order to test the ghost's sincerity, Hamlet used strategies that will prove his uncle. Claudius killed his father. He puts his uncle as well as the others around him at the court through several tests to determine innocence. One day, a group of actors have come to perform at the palace. Hamlet asked the actors to perform a play in which the king is murdered, in the same way Claudius murdered his father. The play called The Murder of Gonzago, to which Hamlet has added scenes that recreate his father's murder story told by the ghost. Hamlet plans to present the play before Claudius and his mother so that they can find the truth by studying Claudius' reactions. During the play, Hamlet watches Claudius closely and studies his reactions. The play disturbs Claudius and he runs out of the room. After studying his reaction, Hamlet is confident that Claudius is guilty for killing his father. Hamlet goes after Claudius. He saw him kneeling and praying for forgiveness for killing Hamlet's father. Hamlet overhears this and wants to kill Claudius. However, Hamlet thinks that if he kills Claudius while he isn't praying, his soul will go to heaven rather than hell. Therefore, he decided to spare his life. Hamlet goes to see his mother, and they have an argument about everything that's been happening. When Hamlet hears someone moving behind the curtain, he thinks that it's Claudius. He draws his sword and stabs through the curtain, but to his surprise, it was Polonius. Thus, he accidentally kills Polonius, who was there to safeguard his mother. Polonius is the chief counselor of the king. He is also the father of Hamlet's admirer, Ophelia and Laertes. On hearing the news, Hamlet's admirer, Ophelia, goes mad with grief following her father's death. She killed herself by drowning in the river. Meanwhile, the king Claudius punishes Hamlet by accidentally killing Polonius by sending Hamlet away to England with his friends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. On the way, Hamlet discovers that Claudius has asked the King of England to have him killed when he arrives. So Hamlet switches out the letter with orders to kill Rosencrantz and Guildenstern instead. The two men are executed and Hamlet returns to Denmark. On his return to Denmark, Hamlet meets Laertes at Ophelia's funeral. Laertes is the son of Polonius and brother of Ophelia, who was been staying in France. Laertes returns to Denmark due to his father and sister's death. Claudius convinces Laertes that Hamlet is to blame for his father and sister's death. They both plan to kill Hamlet during a fencing match, either by a poisoned blade or a poisoned wine. In this match, Hamlet defeats Laertes in the first two rounds. Claudius offers him a drink from a poisoned wine, but Hamlet declines. Instead, his mother, Queen Gertrude, celebrates her son's victory and drinks the poisoned wine unknowingly. As she drinks the wine, the queen died instantly, while Laertes succeeds in wounding Hamlet with a poisoned sword, though Hamlet does not die of the poison immediately. In the midst of the sword fight, however, Laertes drops his poisoned sword and Hamlet takes his sword. The two switch swords and Laertes is shortly after wounded with the poisoned sword, as well as both Laertes and Hamlet are wounded by the poisoned sword. Before Laertes died, he confesses to Hamlet that he and Claudius plan that Hamlet will die either on a poisoned sword or with poisoned wine. Before poison is about to take Hamlet to, Hamlet stabs Claudius and forces him to drink the rest of the poisoned wine. Claudius dies and Hamlet dies immediately after achieving this revenge. In the end of the day, the entire royal family dies. Only Horatio is left standing to tell a story. So that is the end of the story Hamlet. So the full story is so long and written in the language of the 17th century. Many readers find it helpful to have a short summary of Hamlet in simple English. So the story we presented to you is just a summary. But if you read the whole story, there are a lot of lines and scenes that are truly meaningful and valuable in which we can learn and relate to. So here are some of the meaningful lines from the Hamlet. First, the spirit that I have seen may be evil. I'll have grounds more relative than this. So this line conveys that Hamlet is in persistent confusion. He questions the ghost's trustworthiness. What if the ghost is not a true spirit, but rather an agent of the evil sent to tempt him? What if killing Claudius results in Hamlet having to relive his memories for all eternity? Hamlet agonizes over what he perceives as he cowardized because he cannot stop himself from thinking. Words immobilized Hamlet, but the world he relived in prizes action. Basically, Hamlet does not trust the ghost, and he wants to seek firmer evidence against his father's murder. Here is another famous line of Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether this nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arm against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. This line that Hamlet continuously questions the morality of his decisions, whether he should killed or not killed, to be or not to be. Hamlet explores questions of fate versus free will, whether it is better to act decisively or let nature take its course. Hamlet musing on life and death, saying he's at a point that he only sees suffering in life, and that's the only thing stopping us from killing ourselves is fear of the unknown. And the last line, the skull had a tongue in it and could sing once. This might be the fate of a politician which this asked now overreachest one that would circumvent God. In this line, Hamlet thinking how even those trying to invade God's punishes cannot escape death. So we'll end the story with a Bible verse, Mark chapter 8, verse 36. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? So just like Claudius, his greediness to take the throne leads to tragic ending. Therefore, we should not be greedy for what others have. Instead, we should be contented for what we have and work hard towards our goals in life. So that is all about the story of Hamlet. Thank you and God bless.
Okay, good day everyone. So we are the last group and we are from the B.Ed 3. So today we will be discussing about William Shakespeare Othello. Next slide. Othello, or its full title, The Tragedy of Othello, the Moor of Venice, is a tragedy written by William Shakespeare, probably in 1603 set in the contemporary Ottoman-Venetian War 1572-1573, fought for the control of the island of Cyprus, a position of the Venetian Republic since 1489. The port city of Famagusta finally fell to the Ottomans in 1571 after a Buttress siege. The story revolves around two characters, Othello and Lago. Othello is a Moorish military commander who was serving as a general of the Venetian army in defense of Cyprus against invasion by Ottoman Turks. He has recently married Desdemona, a beautiful and wealthy Venetian lady much younger than himself, against the wishes of her father. Lago is Othello's malevolent ensign, who maliciously stokes his master's jealousy until the usually stoic Moor kills his beloved wife in a fit of blind rage. Due to its enduring themes of passion, jealousy, and race, Othello is still topical and popular and is widely performed with numerous adaptations. Othello is the story of a noble military general who has enjoyed many success on the battlefield. But because of mistakes of judgment and his outsider status in his society, sabotage and most intimate relationship and himself. So next reporter.
So the play begins on the grand scale of a military romance unfolding on the Mediterranean Sea. So the action of the drama shrinks to the claustrophobic ending in the cramped bedroom where Othello kills himself after smothering his innocent. So Othello kills himself after smothering his innocent wife. The play moves from vast exteriors that provide a backdrop for Othello's heroism to interior spaces that offer both literary and figuratively. The play's constructing trajectory suggests that negative emotions like jealousy put an emotional chokehold on a person, strangling their ability to think clearly and thus preventing them from acting reasonably. And it also contrasts the arenas in which Othello is confident and powerful, such as the exterior world of battle, with the domestic spaces in which he is less secure and able to be easily manipulated. And the incident that sets the protagonist and antagonist on a collision course occurs before the play begins, when Othello chooses Cassio as lieutenant in beginning passed over for promotion. Lago feels cast aside and left to fill the role of ancient, a military position that ranks at the very bottom of all commissioned officers. Next reporter.
Okay, though angry with Othello's choice, Lago feels equally upset that the coveted job went to Cassio, so who Lago considers less qualified than he is. He also later reveals that he believed Cassio might have slept with his wife. So in addition to suspecting Othello slept with her. Next slide. For a fair Casio with a knight cup 2, Lago feels doubly degraded. So promotional he believed was rightfully is went to another man. So Othello believe has rightful is went to another man. And both men are responsible for the slight. Othello and Cassio may be sleeping with his wife. At this point, the audience sympathize are aligned with Lago, as we haven't yet seen Othello, and Lago thus have just cause for his grievances. The tension of the play rises once the audience meets Othello and realize how disastrous Lago's plans will be. Othello and Desdemona's declaration of love for each other, and Desdemona's willingness to be disowned by his father in order to be with Othello raise the stakes for the couple and shift the audience to Othello's sides. So by contrasting Othello, Desdemona and Cassius' virtuous natures with Lagos' lies. So the play heightens the tension between the truth and deception, with everyone in the play subject to Lagos' scheming. The audience becomes his silent co-conspirator as he unveils his plans in a series of asides. Next reporter will be Alan Rose.
As Lago easily succeeds in his plot to get Cassio drunk, incite him to fight Roderigo, and convince Othello to fire him, all the while acting as though he loves Cassio. We see what a skilled manipulator he is. Lago's scheming, cynical nature is starkly contrasted with the rest of the characters in the play, who are all undone by their trusting, honest natures and their inability to see through Lagos' deceptions. The conflicting forces of good as presented by Othello and evil as presented by Lago come into direct contact at the end of Act number 3. Scene 3 when Othello kneel with Lago and pledges his unswerving desire to take revenge on those who have cuckolded him, and like many Shakespearean tragedies, where the protagonist confronts the antagonist at the play's climax, Othello expresses his absolute trust in Lago by appointing him his new lieutenant. Othello's misplacement of trust and blindness to Lago's true motivations increases the tension further as the audience wonders when, if ever, Othello will see the truth about his supposed friend. So as Othello becomes increasingly deranged with jealousy and refuses to listen Desdemona's protestations of her innocence, he becomes a last protagonist and starts to figure more a second antagonist, acting in league with Lago. From this point on, no matter what Desdemona does, it only proves her guilt on Othello's eyes. In the play's remaining 2 acts, Lago's treacherous plot unfolds with a brutal inevitability. Othello shifts from believing Desdemona could never betray him to demanding proof of her infidelity so he can feel justified in killing her. When Lago suggests Othello strangle Desdemona in the bed in which she was allegedly unfaithful, Othello says, "Good, good. The justice of it pleases." Othello still loves his wife passionately, but rather than considering her virtues as arguments against Lago's accusations, instead sees them as reasons to be all the more upset by her alleged infidelity. "Oh, Lago, the pity of it, Lago. deranged with jealousy. Othello conspires with Lago to murder Cassio and devises his plans to kill Desdemona. Either his wife has been unfaithful and is lying to him, or his beloved, honest friend Lago has been lying to him. Only after he kills Desdemona does Othello discover he believed the wrong person. When he at last realizes his error, he kills himself rather than live in a world where honor and honesty has no value.
So, in conclusion, Othello is a play about sexual jealousy and how one man can convince another man who loves his wife dearly that she has been unfaithful to him when she hasn't. So, and that ends our report. Thank you.